On to our fourth and final paper for this session, and I'd like to invite Anne Kirby from the University of Utah. The paper is a community-driven study to understand influences on suicidality and suicide prevention needs for the autistic community. And again, a trigger warning, this paper will mention suicide. Welcome, Anne.
Okay, well, as was just said from the University of Utah, but the work was done there, but just a shout out to everyone. I'm now at Trinity College Dublin here and looking to meet new collaborators and things. So very pleased to talk about this and be part of such an important panel. Did just want to quickly signpost to some local crisis resources. Feel free to snap a photo of that if any of this is helpful for you or someone you know. Of course, I did not do anything I'll talk about today alone. I have many collaborators, and the work was funded by the U.S. National Institute of Mental Health. So as I said, did not do anything alone. So this is a community-based participatory research project that we've been doing for 4 years. And so this is our team, and this is how we work over Zoom. Everyone lives in different parts of the United States, and now I live in Ireland, and so we really benefit from the technological advances that we have, and this has just been a really passionate group to work with, and so pleased. So everything I will talk about today was recently published just this week in the journal Autism, so I hope you can, if you're interested, dive in and learn more about it. So this QR code will take you to our website that will link to the article, as well as we created a bullet point summary of the whole paper, try to make it just a little more accessible for folks who aren't used to reading academic articles. All the quotes from participants that are in the article are in that summary as well. And there's actually a lot of other quotes that we couldn't include in the paper that are in a supplement on the journal website as well. All right, so as others have said, of course, Rachel Mosley did an amazing job of giving us some background on the importance of this topic. So I will breeze over it, but just say that emphasize that this topic is really important to autistic community members. Studies that have looked at priorities have found that this is a topic that people want studied for their own community. And so we did that, like I said, using community-based participatory research. We're partnered with a group called ASPIRE, the Academic Autism Spectrum Partnership in Research and Education. And our group, kind of within that, was formed in 2022, and we have 7 team members, and everything we do together, every question that was part of the interviews, everything was done together as a group. So what we did for this study was interview 38 autistic adults, mental health providers, and family members in the US. Semi-structured interviews lasted about 2 hours. People also had the option to participate in more of a text form, so via email or over chat. And so these are really, really in-depth interviews that we did with the focus of understanding influences on suicidality and suicide prevention needs. And we did reflexive thematic analysis. Just quickly show you some participant characteristics, but we interviewed 16 autistic adults, 8 family members, and 14 providers. A quote that just really stands out from participant was, they said, "I'd say probably the #1 thing that researchers should know about autism and suicide is that it's the rule rather than the exception. If an autistic adult isn't suicidal, then they probably are doing things to push it out of their mind because it's pretty much always there because we are constantly rejected. I'd say that's true especially of queer and trans autistic folks and autistic folks of color, and that's no exception for me." So what we found, Again, 2-hour interviews with 38 people, really, really, really in-depth, great interviews with a lot of information. We've tried to condense it down into 3 kind of main concepts. So the first concept was pervasive negative societal attitudes and social experiences have a lasting impact on autistic people's feelings of self-worth. Within that was really a societal pressure to conform and experiences of exclusion and marginalization, which have been mentioned earlier. Some quotes included, I think that people don't try to kill themselves because they're autistic. I think that society makes it hard for us to exist. Someone else talked about social isolation being the root of my issues with suicidality, but there isn't much fix for that. You can't make people love you or value you in the world. Tied with each of these concepts, we pulled out kind of recommendation ideas from within the interviews, prevention recommendations. So kind of obviously pairing with what I just said, improving societal treatment of autistic people. Autistic resilience and self-advocacy came up, but really interestingly, one of the participants said, in many ways, what helped me was gaining control, and it made me more resilient. But I don't want it to be that way. And so really this idea of they don't want the answer to be resilience and trying to make everyone more resilient. They would like things to be less kind of disruptive and traumatic, but it did help. Connection, acceptance, and non-judgmental social support as well. The second concept was really kind of this general negative experiences and stressors, which added strain, making life feel overwhelming and hopeless. So within that concept was daily life challenges leading to burnout, traumatic and disruptive life events. That was things that we would think of kind of traditionally as trauma, going through like a major relationship disruption, like a divorce or something like that. So people talked about different things in their own lives. And then a lack of accessible or helpful supports, which we've heard about earlier today as well. Some quotes, I think lack of treatment access is a huge reason suicidality tends to be a chronic thing for me. And someone they said, you spend 90% of the time trying to pretend like nothing's wrong, and then you have to work so hard to convince someone that you actually do need help. So it really shows that kind of connection between masking and needing support and how those can struggle with each other. Prevention recommendations in this area included engaging in meaningful activities, which some providers talked about as behavioral activation, and addressing some of these underlying stressors and co-occurring conditions, so physical health needs, sensory needs, kind of being able to address and prevent burnout. And then the third concept was difficulty regulating and managing emotions, which can increase the likelihood of those suicidal feelings and actions. So emotional and reactionary difficulties, really just emotion regulation, alexithymia, impulse control. People talked about those experiences. Some people talked about those as inherent to autism, while other people talked about them in a way that helps us think about how they may be related to some of these other traumas and ways people have been treated. And so I think that's important to think about. And then people also talked about relying on risky coping strategies for relief. That included things like self-harm, substance use, and sort of fantasizing about suicide in some cases. Rachel Mosley, who spoke earlier, has published a lot about self-harm. It's really important work, so I recommend that. Some quotes here. Someone described their clients getting stuck in a loop on suicidal thoughts. And someone else said, we can only implode or explode on ourselves. So we either become addicts, we commit suicide, or we go to jail. There's a lot of us who go to jail, especially folks of color. I've been arrested many times during a meltdown. So that's just kind of giving another perspective to it. Within this, we have recommendations around improving emotional regulation skills, and then having more tailored crisis and suicidality supports, which Ilse just talked about one kind of avenue of that. I can't get into detail here, but again, we did publish on this in our paper. So some limitations, we did have US-based volunteers only in this study. We were unable to recruit. We did try people with ID and people who were non-speaking. One of our community partners is non-speaking, but even with her assistance, we weren't able to find folks willing to participate in an interview on this topic. And we also had some difficulty recruiting family members. We were hoping for more, but so we may have missed perspectives there. So in conclusion, suicide prevention is very important for the autistic community. I talked about the 3 areas that we found, but really important, rather than only thinking about this as a mental health kind of services need, we really are thinking about how everyone can play a role in supporting suicide prevention. And so that's what we've been working on. So I have my email up here, our team's website as well. I just wanted to mention, if you are an Irish professional or family member, not Irish, but in Ireland, Amy Russell from University of Limerick is doing a study with As I Am and is still looking for participants. So she's here somewhere. All right, thank you. And I'll put this up again if you want to access the article.
Wonderful, thank you. We have time for one question before we wrap up, 1 or 2 questions, if people want to come forward to the microphones.
Hello, I'm wondering if you work specifically with the universities and colleges around suicide prevention for autistic students, college students?
No, I do not, and I'm not a provider anyway, but members of our team kind of range in age, so we do have one community partner who's in college right now, and then we have a community partner in her 60s, and so we kind of have a range of people who were weighing in, and then we had a range of folks as well, and some participants did dig quite deeply into really challenging periods of their life that involved when they were in school. So that is something that came up in our interviews and might be a good thing to kind of explore further. As I said, we had these very in-depth interviews, so there's stuff there that didn't make it into the paper too. Thank you.
Thank you, Anne. I'd just like to invite anyone to show our appreciation to the 4 papers this afternoon. And just to draw your attention to health and well-being as well, I'm sure that that session, obviously there was trigger warnings attached to it. If anybody would like some quiet space, there's a quiet space available upstairs, and the team at As I Am in the green t-shirts are happy to offer their assistance and signpost you to further information if you need it. Thank you, everybody. Have a wonderful Congress and speak to you soon.